Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, World Alternative Media here. Of course, we're joined by author and economic analyst here at WAM, John Sneisen. And now you guys know how much I want the government to shut down. You know how much I want an end to the state, an end to the ruling, and an end to the coercion of the globalists and the nationalists, any of these groups that are coercing individuals at a collective level. I hate collectivism. However, the coming government shutdown that is looming, it's a very big possibility, is absolutely bogus. It's an absolute joke. It isn't an actual government shutdown. It is under the guise of actually shutting down the government. But we remember a few years ago when the government shutdown happened, all these idiots were guarding national parks with little fences this big where people were just walking around by the National Mall. Yeah, and they were taping off veteran memorials, telling veterans they can't look at war memorials for wars they served in, and they were just basically telling people that you can't walk on this grass. It cost them more money to get these guards there than it would have to take care of the place in the first place. This is just the inefficiency of the state to begin with, but on top of that, what we're seeing coming up with this so-called government shutdown, it also involves just pissing people off by messing with their funds from the IRS. So, John, can you go into what's going on with this?
So what they're going to do, of course, is the IRS is not going to give any payouts during that period. No. But, of course,
they're going to take your money.
They're going to steal your money. They won't give you any payouts. It's so hilarious how any of this U.S. government shutdowns are. They find the little things that really piss people off and make them really mad, and then they'll just, target those things to make sure that people feel like how great the government is taking care of them.
And it'll make them love government even more. It'll make them glassy-eyed with statism as per usual, going, we need the government to help us with all these things because look what happens. No, that's a government actually working in its own way to make you have as much of an inconvenient time as possible. It's still the government. It's not lack of government. It's government literally just having a temper tantrum and breaking a few glasses and, breaking a window. It is basically just them messing with you, messing with your head. And when they are stealing your money, still the government exists. The government is there. The government is still coercing you. It is not anarchy. It is this so-called government shutdown to appease the masses with the idea of statism. So, John, go on to what exactly this entails, because I know that this is happening for various reasons. The obstructionism from the Democrats and everything from Obamacare to the tax plan to the border wall. Just one thing after the other is leading to this. So, John, can you go into
first
exactly
of all,
what this is?
It's Donald Trump's 100-day inauguration, and since, of course, March October 30th, 2015, Obama suspended the debt ceiling, so that means that they just accumulated a massive amount of debt. Now, the problem is they've accumulated over $1 trillion in debt since that time, and there's no decision on, how to set a debt ceiling. I think we might see a decision of, just get rid of the debt ceiling. Why do we even care?
Just get rid of the debt jubilee. But hey, I'm surprised. You mean they accumulated $1 trillion in debt by printing currency out of thin air?
The thing now is, of course, all this debt that they've issued is coming due, and they have to pay investors the full amount. But what they've done now is they rolled over that old debt into new debt. Of course, the investors didn't get their money back. And then they have to get initial debt for the $590-something billion that they're running in a deficit currently. So this is the issue, guys. It has nothing to do with Trump trying to make America great again. We have a government issue. The government is, of course, always becoming bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it just collapses in on itself at the end because it becomes unsustainable. It takes too much money from the people to run it. So you might as well just implement a full communist society if you want more government. It would be more efficient at being a government than like all this, taking, let's say, 60, 70, 80% tax off of the private sector population in order to support the government.
Yeah, market manipulation, artificial monetary systems, vast coercion, military-industrial complex, taxation. I mean, all these things need to come to an end because it just begets more of exactly that problem. It's that Hegelian dialectic of problem, reaction, solution, and repeat. And I'm just so sick of seeing these people bickering back and forth like, I want this form of collectivism. No, I want this form of collectivism. I want to get beaten once a day. I want to get beaten twice a day. How about we don't get beaten at all? How about we get outside of this system? How about we stand as voluntary free individuals rather than a collective pack of wolves? Oh wait, I'm sorry, we're the sheep being shepherded by the pack of wolves. Yeah. We need to be able to speak for ourselves. So free markets, competing currencies, the ability to have our own demand, to have a say in things. People say, well, electing government officials, that's how you have a say in things. No, you don't. The 49% is ruled over by the 51% and even further than that. And the fact of the matter is, when you have government constantly pumping up the markets and manipulating the markets, you lose competition. You see big monopolies rise while small businesses are pushed out of the markets. We need free markets to put an end to this, not more regulations, not more taxation. And you see people like Mnuchin in the U.S. government, in the Treasury. He is just a continuation of the old. People, stop believing that every president is better than the old president. The new king is better than the old king. It might be true to some extent that Trump is more anti-establishment than Obama, which is certainly true, but it doesn't change the fact that he's still entrenched in the deep state. Everything still continues as usual. The government continues to coerce us. They shove us into debt. They shove us into servitude, and then they call something a government shutdown when they're really just extorting people more and then just not giving the refunds back. I mean, this is stupid.
Well, listen, the problem here is the $20 trillion of government debt. And not just the government debt. Think about all the debt that the United States have accumulated. Me and Josh have done several videos on that. What the problem here is the debt problem. You're never going to get out of it. Some people say, oh, the United States will never default because they could just print their way out of default. Well, then you have a hyperinflation.
Yeah.
So we have a default in the United States. It's bankrupt. Let's just call it what it is. It's a bankrupt corporation. And that's all that it is. The government is done. And it needs to understand that it needs to step aside and let the people, the great people of the United States, live and prosper on their own. Let's get back to the way, the reason why people wanted to move to the United States in the first place, to get away from that, feudalist system in the 1770s and get over to the United States to try to get, live by themselves.
Which was quickly hijacked, by the way.
Yeah, of course, yeah. It was very quickly hijacked.
Damn you, Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah. But the problem is we need to understand that this system that we're trying to constantly get back to, where there's a collective that wants to lead us and be in control, because we don't really know how to be good human beings and work together as individuals.
Well, that's what I was kind of getting into before I kind of started ranting there, but basically individual demand is what puts prices down. Individual demand is a real vote. So it's democracy without force. So basically you like something, you pay for it. That's a vote with your dollar. You support it. And then these businesses, we're talking about many more businesses competing against each other, competing for lower prices, better production, better products, innovation, and that's how you cure diseases. That's how you put an end to all the different plagues that face us currently in society, because the prices will be lower, poor people will be able to afford things once again, and people will be on a more fair, free market system. When they call this socialism fair, it makes me completely disgusted. Basically, this fairness called socialism is extorting people, shoving them into debt, shoving them into servitude while putting the guise of helping out there, while it's really just a thin veil. It isn't true. What they're doing is stealing from people, and that's not fair. Collectively, what fair is individuals being able to speak for themselves and getting what they want without hurting other people. But what we're watching right now is this socialist system, and yes, under Trump as well. what the Trump government is doing in many ways is a form of socialism. We're talking about social security, social retirement plans, Medicare, Medicaid. It might not be single payer, but it's close to single payer.
Well, the problem
it's monopolized.
Is it's unfunded liabilities. First of all, all this, it's promised money that the government doesn't get in revenue. So either the government has to increase their taxes probably twofold or threefold in order to make sure that they get enough money to pay it in. But then you crash the whole economy, because the economy in the United States is in a deflationary state where, the big amount of the baby boomers are retiring and they're, getting out of their assets. They want a pension and so on. So the problem is the monetary system here with the debt bubble that they created. And you started seeing it in 2008 big time, because what happened is there was a collapse. It should have been a complete collapse of the banking system, but it didn't happen because they bailed them out. They printed trillions of dollars in order to, save the system in the United States that, are everywhere in the world today. They spread this disease of the central bank of the United States all over the world. And you have people that want, said that, well, let's, control the supply of the currency in the United States and, have the... Yes, you can probably do it for a little while, but then it's a system that can be hijacked right away. And it did. There was, I think in the 1800s, they tried it for about 30 years, but then it suddenly got hijacked and then the currency failed again. The problem here is...
1812 to 1833.
Yeah. What we're seeing here is the complete failure of the political system that controls, the government. Well, actually, the political system, forget it today. It doesn't do any change whatsoever. These people that are getting in, they're just puppets there for the big, if you can call it the deep state or whatever you want to call it, the government.
Shadow government, yeah.
Well, everybody...
Government in general. Government is always...
all the government employees that sits there and not are getting replaced when, there's a change in administration.
Yeah.
Like they're all there. Like nothing has changed from Obama other than, a couple of people at the top.
And a few executive orders to, shorten the amount of power that government has to a certain extent, but not changing the big picture. And that's the most important part. And I apologize for ranting and raving as I have in this video, but I think it's important to, in this video, just point out all the examples of the force used by government against free individuals on a collectivist scale, and how important it is to separate ourselves from that. I'm trying to give as many examples as possible, but yes, this debt ceiling issue is just ridiculous, just considering that when you're looking at the debt, when you're looking at this debt ceiling, just raising it, isn't it a little bit like...
Just remove the debt ceiling, for crying out loud. Like, it's a joke even having...
debt jubilee, but isn't it
No, not even the debt jubilee. Just remove the debt ceiling. So let's just get into $50, $100, $500 trillion of debt.
But isn't it kind of on the same scale as like you having $2 to your name and then buying like $1 million house, and then when they come to collect, just telling them no, make our neighbors pay because we don't have the money, or just keep making that keep putting that debt level up, the amount owed
just
over
more,
and over and
just
over
buy
again.
A new credit card to pay off the old one.
Yeah, and then buy up another one.
Well,
and
you don't
another
even
one.
pay it. Like, you just accumulate debt.
It's absurd. Any 2-year-old can figure that out, but of course we live in a nation of 1-year-olds. We live in a nation in the United States, Canada, most of the world, Britain.
It's not just the United States; it's everywhere, guys.
Yeah, it's just a system of coercion, debt enslavement, and stupidity. It really is incredibly stupid. Every solution that people put forward just creates a further problem, that Hegelian dialectic. So anyway, this has become one hell of a ranting, raving video. We might sound crazy to some of us, but please take a chance and look into this kind of stuff. Look into why free markets are much better than statism, and why our ability to have actual individual demand is better than collective demand perpetrated by a bunch of government officials and central planners that monopolize one industry and push all the small ones out of the picture. Meaning that the prices go up, that we have inflation, that we see massive lack of actual innovation. There's so many things that play into this, but
the United States has become a dead, desolate place of innovation and creating value. What have happened is you've seen the big corporations as you're doing share buybacks, getting into debt to buy back your own stock so it becomes more valuable. Like, that's insanity. Like, we're gone to the end game of the monetary system. It's time to completely say, like, okay, we lost. We used a stupid idea in the first place, the fiat currency fractional reserve banking system. It was deemed to fail, but we just thought that, oh, maybe we could fix it this time. No, you can never fix the fiat currency system. It's a flawed system. Get rid of it.
And on top of that, I just wanted to mention to a few of the viewers that might be supporters of Trump, protectionism is socialism. What I'm getting at is that it's more manipulation of the markets. If you want jobs to come back, if you want people to be able to build great businesses in the United States and thrive on it, get rid of the government regulations and intervention so that there will be a reasonable ground for people to come back and do it, instead of barring out other people, saying you can't set up shop here, you can't sell to our country, we are putting sanctions on you, etc., etc. Like with the recent story with the Canadian milk versus American milk. That's protectionism, and that's a form of socialism. And if you're supporting that, you're supporting socialist policy. You have to understand
Norway has that big time.
The difference between free markets and protectionism. Yes, we all want jobs to come back. We all want a better environment for small businesses. So make it that way instead of having the government come in and manipulate more. If the government causes the problem in the first place, more government isn't going to solve the problems of the government in the first place.
Hey, listen, I had to sit into listening to, this was interesting, this was in Manitoba, I was sitting in and listening into tech entrepreneurs that was here. And they were asked by the politician panel, you know, like, what can we do for you guys in order to get your business here? It's like, well, remove taxes.
Yeah.
Get rid of,
as simple as that.
Get rid of taxes.
And the regulations, the stifling
regulations.
It's
so simple, but yet these moron politicians believe that this government could make something more, encompassing for the corporations to come to your province.
In a lot of cases, though, I think a lot of them know exactly what they're doing, and they're trying to.
Well, they want their job. Yeah. They want to keep their job. They want that paycheck that our taxes are giving them.
Yeah, absolutely, and I do not consent to that either, and I don't think you do neither, John. But just finishing it up, thanks for going into the story a bit with me, John. I'm going to try not to rant and rave so much in the future, but it's hard not to with the absurdity of this story. Everyone, oh, government shutdown, oh no, anarchy. That's not anarchy. That's just more government controlled, it's not
a government shutdown in the first place. It's a joke in my point of view.
Please do shut down the government.
Running. Yeah, exactly.
Please shut down the government. Do whatever you can. Just please shut down the government. I want to see an end to this madness and this insanity and this coercion and this force. But anyway, moving on from that, thanks, John, and we'll be back at you with much more. Check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are continuously demonetized and censored. I wonder why. And also check our address for Bitcoin in the description in the comments, as well as on the screen for you to scan, if you please. And check our link for the Red Pill Expo, where you can see people like G. Edward Griffin, Robert Kiyosaki, Ty Bollinger, Mike Adams, Cynthia McKinney, James Corbett, Lord Monckton, so many other great speakers, Richard Gage, in Bozeman, Montana in June. You won't want to miss it. We hope to see you there. The early bird ticket sales end soon, so get your tickets at the cheapest price while you still can. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson and John Sneisen signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.